Hey, what's going on, nerds around the world? And welcome to episode 155 of the Nerds and Dice One podcast. And of course, this is your host, CM Miller. Just me, and of course, I got Mike. I got Colton with me, and we're going to do, and we'll be counting down our top five favorite episodes from the first series of the classic science fiction franchise Star Trek. Of course, we'll be discussing our top five favorite episodes of the original Star Trek series. And of course, I'm a big Star Trek fan. Of course, so is Paul. I just love Star Trek, and I'm really pumped and really want to get into this topic. It's just discussing our favorite character, at least our favorite episodes from this legendary series. So I'm ready to go into the final frontier. How about you guys?
Live long and prosper. I'm ready.
Okay, all right.
Of course, I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Okay, all right, Bill Shatner. I do my best to be as stilted and clipped as he is. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but starting off, we're going off with number five. Number five for me is The Devil in the Dark, and this is probably one that just like, and this is like this right here is just when you say the word when it comes to the word classic, I mean, it's just this. It's just like you can find, of course, a classic episode of Star Trek. I mean, you can find a no better example than this one. It's just like it's well written, it's exciting. They put you on the edge of your seat, and embodies the franchise's philosophy and humanist values more than anything. Just like, and this is probably, I mean, like, just like looking at this episode, this is probably like. I mean, when it comes to the public, when it comes to the popular image of Star Trek, with the Horta and all that, I say it's pretty much seeped into the popular consciousness. Maybe not as much as say Klingons or Beam Me Up Scotty, but it's up there. It has some imagery that's recognized. That's one of the most recognized, and it's crafted pretty well. Even Arthur C. Clarke considers this the most memorable episode of Star Trek ever produced. It's just got a great story, and it's got a great story. I mean, the performances are pretty stilted, if you ask me, but it just really pulls you into the story about how they're fighting this creature. The miners on this particular planet are fighting this creature. They don't know what it is. But you find out as it unfolds, it's not what you really expect it to be, and that's really what makes this episode stand out for me. It's just like when it comes across something that's perceived to be threatening and menacing, you realize it's not. You realize this is a creature. This is a mother that's trying to protect her young. It's just like, yeah, that was like. I would imagine I was quite surprised to the audience who saw the first episode, when it first aired. It's got some memorable moments. You got some memorable banter between Spock and Kirk, Spock and Bones, and especially Bones has that great line, "I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer." It's just like you gotta love Bones in this. It's just my golly, Jim, I can hear rainy day, but yeah, definitely. It's just like when it comes to something that embodies the ideas and concepts that Star Trek tackles. I mean, this one is one of the best examples of this embodying the philosophy, the humanist philosophy that Star Trek has. At least it's outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Okay, Mike, why don't you give us number five on your list?
All right, my number five is Operation Annihilate. This was, I think, at the end of season one.
Yeah.
It may not be everyone's favorite episode, but it was one of the first ones that I remember watching, and it really kind of struck me. I mean, basically, they go down to this planet, they find out basically all the colonists are being mind controlled by these weird parasites.
Yeah.
And they have to figure out like how to kill these parasites while killing the hosts. And Spock, offers to sacrifice himself to make contact with these things and find out what's going on. I mean, it's not the best episode I've ever seen, but like I said, it was one of the first ones that I remember watching. I remember distinctly watching it,
Mhm.
and the end part where Spock they realize that the lights that kills the parasite also blinded Spock, and that was a pretty. I mean, yeah, sure. He has inner eyelids or whatever. Okay, cool, whatever. But that one moment was pretty striking. I mean, this is one of the main characters, and they just blinded him. What the hell? So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not the best episode there, but just personally, it just hit me in the right place. So
Not for myself, but I felt like maybe he's decent. Possible, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. Okay, Colton, why don't you give us number 5 and give us?
Now, before I do, I actually saw that episode a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty. I found it to be kind of a tense episode, especially with how we saw members of Kirk's family just dying the way they did. It was kind of brutal, actually. But anyway, number 5 on my list is an episode that we can all recognize from this particular music. Da, 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 da. Yeah,
that's
Unlock Time.
That's where Jim Carrey does the best rendition of that whole music and the Cable Guy. Oh my god!
This is the first episode of the second season, which is also the first episode to feature Chekhov. But that's another story. Anyway, what I like about this episode is that it's the first time.
The time we Chekhov met Khan in season 1. I know.
We'll get back to that. But yeah, if my memory, I'm not as well versed in Star Trek as you guys probably are. If my memory serves, I think this is like the first time we ever see Vulcan, and it's the first time we see Vulcan. We learn a lot about the Vulcan culture and everything. So it was just interesting to see Spock acting differently from how we were used to. Usually he's the calm and collected, but because of Pon-farr, he's behaving irrationally, and that's like one way to really drag audiences in because that's something we hadn't really seen much of. And then when we get to learn about the Vulcan customs and everything, that was pretty cool. And I liked also the fight between Kirk and Khan, despite taking place in for a fight that was in 1967 TV show, it was actually strangely. As cheesy as it could get, it was also pretty, tense since this was Kirk and Spock being forced to fight each other to the death because the woman that Spock is betrothed to doesn't want him, but also doesn't want to lose the guy she's actually in love with, so she tries this really complicated, but according to Spock, flawless logical scheme, which works out in the end, I guess. But it's silly, but I really enjoyed all the learning more. How we got to learn more about what Vulcans are like and what have you. It's just a good insight, day in the limelight episode for Mr. Spock, among other things. So number 5 on my list is Amok Time, or how do you pronounce the episode?
I mean, really good choice, Colton. Really good choice. I mean, excellent episode, by the way. Definitely one of my favorites as well.
I also liked how Bones managed to get Kirk out of the fight to the death part by essentially faking his death. I always like how Bones, he's how much of a fast thinker he can be in these sorts of situations. That was a pretty cool moment too.
Yeah. Crusty as Bones can be, he can be very cool in these kind of situations. Okay, okay, going on to number 4. Number 4 on my list is The Trouble with Tribbles. This is
classic.
Bona fide Star Trek classic. It introduces us to the furry and lovable Tribbles, created by David Gerrold. It's like with Star Trek doing comedy. He's like, it's like for the viewers in 1967. It's like, I mean, I never sure they give it a moment's thought, but from what I heard, it got a very mixed reception when it first aired. But it's Star rose as time went on. It's silly. That's the point. But it's also clever. And also insightful. Just like, just Captain Kirk has to deal with, Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise had to deal with these very, very infuriating creatures, who like to eat and breed, eat and breed. It's got so many memorable characters. It's absurd. It's just like, because it's so silly. It's just like, you think maybe this couldn't work for a show like Star Trek, but it did, and that's what's great about it. It's just like it's a lighthearted episode. It's just like you got many memorable characters, and of course you got the infuriating Nils Barris, the administrator of Deep Space K7, who like Kirk gets on my nerves as well. Just like he's a fuck boy. I just want to say it myself. It's like I personally can't say it. Of course, you got Stanley Adams as Cyrano Jones. Oh man, of course, you got William Campbell, who's playing who's playing the second character who's ever played in the original Star Trek. He played Trelane in Squire Gothos. He's playing Captain. He's playing Captain Koloff, basically, and he gets a great performance. Of course, we all know that memorable ending when Arn Darvin is revealed to be Klingon by the Tribbles. The Tribbles reveal his secret, but just like it's something that could have not worked, but it just pulls such you in, just like how lighthearted and just carefree the whole thing is. It's just like and you can't get enough of the Tribbles. So number 4 on my list is The Trouble with Tribbles. Okay, Mike, what is number 4 on your list?
My number 4 is The Doomsday Machine. I mean, you got this. It's very prophetic for Star Trek: The Motionless Picture. For multiple reasons.
Or Star Trek: The Emotionless Picture, or Star Trek: The Motion Sickness.
Yeah. I mean, you had Decker's father in that one, and you had a giant, basically planet-destroying super weapon, and they had to figure out how to do it. It's a really fun. It's an action-oriented episode. It's really cool that the giant planet killer is actually. I thought it was a pretty cool effect. Especially given the time that it was filmed, and when Decker sacrifices himself, Kurt Shatner is not the best actor, but at that moment, he did pretty good with that moment. He lost someone under. Yeah, obviously the guy went nutso and crazy, Captain Ahab and Moby Dick and all that. But he's Shatner. Kirk still lost a guy under his command, and that hurt him. It did reveal how to destroy the thing, which is cool. But yeah, it's number 4, so it's not my top of my list, but this one was good.
Right, definitely. It's definitely great from my mind. Great. Okay, now, Colton, why don't you give us number 4 on your list?
Number 4 on my list is another second season episode from episode 10, Journey to Babel, or Babel, or whatever. It's the episode where we meet Spock's parents, Sarek and Amanda. And pretty much I like this episode. It made my top 5 for pretty much the same reasons as my number 5 did, which is again more insight into Spock's past, in this case being his family, seeing how it's about his awkward, seeing him meeting his mom, seeing him interacting with his mother and father is about as awkward as we probably all imagine. Like his dad is he's a Vulcan, so what do you expect? We also got some insight into what Spock's life was as a half human, half Vulcan, living amongst Vulcans. We found out that Vulcans themselves can pretty much be jackasses, since they bullied him for being of 2 worlds and whatnot. Which is something that I liked, how we actually got to see that in the 2009 Star Trek film. And I think my favorite part of the episode, though, was that after Spock's father gets hurt and needs and has to undergo an operation that requires Spock like a transfusion or something like that. But then Kirk gets injured, and so Spock has to assume command, and then they have to basically go out of their way to make sure that Kirk is all right. So Spock will go through we'll go back to the operating table and everything. It's such a Spock move. it's like it's noble, but it's also hilarious at the same time. And it's just very, it's a good, interesting watch, and another good day in the limelight episode for Spock. So you can see it's another reason why he's become such an iconic character, because it's stuff you wouldn't expect to know about him. It's very as Spock would say, is fascinating. So number 4 on my list is Journey to Babel.
Okay, all right. Like that pick, cool. Like that pick very much. Okay, all right. Going on to number 3. Number 3 on my list is The Doomsday Machine. Yeah, this is a classic Star Trek episode. It's a Star Trek. This is probably the original Star Trek series, one of the most action-packed of Star Trek episodes. And considering how, the original Star Trek series, I hate the technical aspects of it. Yeah, it was the 60s, but I hate that set design. I hate the special effects. It was just way too primitive, way too crude. But it did. The effects did fine for the time, despite it being still crude and unpolished. But it managed just to put you on the edge of your seat. It managed just to be ripping and just terrific in its writing and just and acting. Of course, William Wyndham as the unfortunate Commodore Matt Decker, just as like you see his guilt and this and a near it's near psycho near I'm not going to say near psychotic. He's just mad, near insanity, pretty much, to put it that way. Just like he's like how he himself and this whole entire crew, the Empire, managed to meet the same fate. They almost managed to meet the same fate as his crew on the Constellation. It's like Spock had to, pull him back. It's just down back. It's just for killing all. I'm just saying, it's a well done hour of Star Trek. It's suspenseful. It's exciting. It's just like it's very much like a Moby. It's like it shares so many analogies to Moby Dick, though. I mean, it's very much a cautionary tale for the atomic age. It's just like that. This Land Killer itself has become a staple in tie-in, in Star Trek tie-in fiction. It's just like, yeah, it just reminds me. It sort of feels like the precursor to the movie Jaws. The Planet Killer theme just reminds me of the shark theme from that movie so much. It's just like. But just like this. I mean, this is this is another episode with indelible imagery that's seeped itself into the popular consciousness, and it sets the template for Star Trek engaging with classic literature that built off the consciousness of the King. Like I said, it's a fine hour of Star Trek. There's no doubt about that. Mike, why don't you give us number 3 on your list?
My number 3 is The Devil in the Dark. I mean, yeah, like Chris said, the way that they kind of show that, and ultimately, the Horta was not the villain here. The Horta was just a creature that was protecting itself and its young. I mean, like you said, Chris. Star Trek all along was saying, this is, everyone is equal. There's no one person or no one species that is better or more important than another. All sides need to be considered, and I think that's what makes this one. Yeah, I mean, sure, the acting was not the best. Leonard Nimoy could overact with the best of them as well.
Hey!
Yeah. But
it's a little rough.
But I mean, I think the basic storyline behind it, and the explanation of the Horta, I thought really added a lot to this episode. And plus, it was nice seeing McCoy put in a situation where he didn't have all the answers. He was kind of working with what he had, and he had no idea what to do. But it was nice because normally he's a doctor. He knows how to go. He knows what to do. He knows how to mix stuff and all that. And he's just, I gotta pour concrete on this thing. Mm-hmm. I've never done that before. It was kind of cool.
You're sort of kicking his ass. It's like mumbling, grumbling, and mumbling, grumbling in Bones fashion until he finds the cure. Basically, I mean,
the perfect Bones episode, I think.
You just love the force Kevin this one. Okay, Colton, why don't you give us number 3 on your list?
Number 3 on my list is The Trouble with Tribbles. Pretty much for the same reasons you said. This episode is absolutely hilarious. I mean, you wouldn't think that a bunch of cute, cuddly animals like Tribbles would cause trouble, but they multiply by the thousands or even the millions. And just the scene where Kirk opens like a hatch and just hundreds of dead Tribbles fall on top of him, and Kirk just stands there. William Shatner has the perfect, oh, you've got to be kidding me, look in his face, and especially as they keep falling on top of him. And he's like, you can just see in his eyes, he's thinking, if one more damn Tribble falls on top of me, I will damn it! But probably the best part of the episode, though, is the bit with the Klingons, where Scotty gets into a fight with them, and then after that, Kirk winds everyone up, he wants to know what happened, and he finds out that Scotty started the fight, and you can just see how his ego takes a huge blow when he finds out that Scotty fought the Klingons, not because they insulted him, but because they insulted the Enterprise. Standing there thinking, oh my gosh, he loves the ship more than he loves me.
All right.
Like who says that comedy can't, isn't as good as drama sometimes? It's like the comedic timing in this episode was pitch perfect, and if I can, I'll look for it online and watch it because it's just that good.
Oh yeah. You consider it much better, Derek Coleman. Consider it much. I don't think you could said it much better. Definitely. Okay, going on to number 2. Number 2 on my list is Mirror. Yeah, Mirror on the wall. Mirror, Mirror. It's just like, and this episode is rightfully iconic. Rightfully, you see sequels on Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Enterprise. It's just like popularized the concept of the evil alternate universe. Just told everyone to beware of alternate universe counterparts of your friends with goatees. Yeah, high words. Oh man, this is probably its most imaginative and most stirring. And he's just like starting. It's like, and probably one of the best. It's one of the most well written and insightful of Star Trek scripts. And Jerome Bixby just the kind of alchemy he just created with just the whole concept, the execution. Nobody could have done it better. It's just like, and it's very much a cautionary tale, an examination of some of the franchise's war tendencies. It's just like, this is just ripping moments. It's just like special, and this is like as it unfolds. There's one particular moment where they're wondering what their mirror universe counterparts, what Kirk and McCoy wondering what their alternate counterparts are doing on the Prime Universe Enterprise. It's just like, and you see Shatner chewing the scenery as usual. Just like that's a fun little moment. So what you want, Spock? Power's like fascinating. It's like, Power, Spock, I could get that for you. And it's just like, yeah, yeah. But also, yeah, it's just like it kind of feels over the top. It's just very. It's just like in this depiction, of what an evil alternate universe you couldn't like, but it just doesn't make it any less enjoyable. It's like I said, like in one of the episodes that it's like there's imagery you immediately recognize, even if you haven't seen that episode of Star Trek. It's like you immediately recognize some of the imagery, the visual language from this episode. Even like you say, even you hadn't seen it, it's just like you can't help but love just how twisted and just treacherous some of the alternate universe counterparts of our favorite characters are. Has a very pulpy sensibility, but it's also exciting and fun. And it's definitely a fantastic and iconic episode from this series, definitely. So number 2 on my list is Mirror Mirror. Okay, Mike, why don't you give us number 2 on your list?
All right. Well, first, since I'm the only one with a beard, am I the evil one of this group?
I actually had a beard earlier today, but I shaved it off.
Then you are no longer evil. Anyway, my number 2 is Space Seed.
No, wait,
Yeah.
not yet. 15 years ago.
Yeah. We got another like 15 years before that happens. But yeah, I mean, Space Seed, the introduction of Khan Noonien Soong.
Yeah.
Yeah, played with amazing performance by Ricardo Montalban. I mean, this is a guy that you could totally see. He's going to take over this ship, and there's not a whole lot anyone can really do about that.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it weren't for Kirk just finding out how to play Khan against himself, he would have lost the Enterprise, and he would, Khan would have pretty much killed everyone. I think. Well, most everyone. But yeah, I mean, Khan is just. There's a reason why he's the iconic villain from Star Trek that we all know him to be, even though he only appeared in one episode. There's a reason they brought him back for the Wrath of Khan, and rightfully so. I mean, this is a charismatic, a powerful, a ingenious warlord, and pretty much the equal of Kirk on most every level, if not better.
Yeah.
The superior intellect.
Yes.
Khan, laughing the superior intellect. Yes, we'll get that 15 years later. He's just trolling. He's just like, oh man. Definitely. Yeah, great pick, Mike. Definitely. Classic episode. Definitely. Colton, why don't you give us number 2 on your list?
Well, funny you should mention that, because number 2 on my list is also Space Seed. But for a lot of the same reasons as Mike, I think one of my favorite things about the episode is that despite the fact that Khan and his company are like 2 centuries out of date, they are very quick on the uptake, and I don't think you see that often where like the primitive people that are technically primitive regarding other high tech civilizations. We don't usually see them like get that quickly up to speed as Khan and his company did, but I really enjoyed that. I also like how his first scene is that he basically threatens McCoy, and McCoy just stands there and says, well, if you're going to cut my throat, just go ahead and do it already. And that gets Khan to take it, to move the scalpel away and start to treat McCoy as an equal and what have you. That was cool. And I really love how just so damn charming Ricardo Montalban made Khan, we know he's full of shit throughout the episode, but we want to follow him regardless. It's like he's not like full of himself. He knows exactly. He has an ego, but honestly, the way he acts, you can see why he has one. And I really could buy him, managing to outthink Kirk and company, manage to take over the Enterprise and nearly blow it up at the end of the episode. And even though that fight between him and Kirk was obviously staged and with an obvious stunt double, it was still pretty cool to watch. And I love how the episode, concludes with them leaving him on City Alpha 5, with them believing that it's better to, it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. And like you said, this is the reason why I'm so glad they brought him back, because the way the episode ended, the open-ended way it does close out, it does make you really want to see Khan return, especially when Kirk and Spock, as the episode closes out, they sit there and wonder what will happen from the seed that they planted. Oh boy, will they find out just what kind of monster they've created. And of course, we can't forget the classic, Chekhov is not present in this episode. I love the official fan theory, the official reason that Ricardo Montalban said as a joke that the reason that Khan knows who Chekhov is because Chekhov was hogging the bathroom, and Khan was like, I should never forget your face, Chekhov.
Walter Koenig always brings that up
Mhm.
That's a good one. So yeah, number 2 on my list is Space Seed.
Awesome. Yeah, seems like seems like yeah, you and Mike shared a similar choice at ranked at number 2. Yeah, still doesn't make it any less a great episode. Definitely, still iconic that one. Definitely, but going to the number 1 spot, the number 1 our favorite episode of all Star Trek. And my number 1 is I know this one is tops every list of everyone's favorite episodes when it comes to the original Star Trek series, but it's no different for me, and that is the classic City on the Edge of Forever. Why does this episode? Yeah, it just sticks with you. It's brilliant, but it's also troubled, and it's romance. It's a tragic romance, and it's cleverly constructed. This movie's executed just like. You know, it has a gravitas unlike any episode Star Trek ever produced. You know, the writing is just fantastic. It's just like the dialogue and it's like it's got the dialogue's sort of terrific. You know, and it's like. And you have the Empire's monitoring this planet, and you know Sulu gets injured on the bridge. Captain McCoy comes up to the bridge so he can revive Sulu. Then everything goes well until hit by one of the waves, and of course, Bones accidentally ingests himself with hyperspray. And of course, interesting events start to unfold. Definitely, and Harlan Ellison, the great Harlan Ellison, he wrote the screenplay for this movie, for this particular episode. You know, you have great episodes. I mean, you got great moments, especially that scene where Spock and Kirk first enter 1930s America on Earth. And you know, it's just like, and they're going to figure out how they're going to they're going to figure out what to do since they're in this time. And it's like. And you see kind of Spock get slightly irritated when Kirk kind of expects him to do everything. You know, of course, you got Joan Collins as the beautiful Edith Keeler. It's just like she's one of the best guest characters that's ever appeared on Star Trek. It's just like she has a person. I mean, it's just like so you have that earnestness, that optimism. Of course, because it breaks your heart with that because you know. Her fate is that to be hit by that truck. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's heart-wrenching. Yeah, I know it's a brilliant hour of television, but still, your heart sinks. It's just like when it's heartbroken. As Kirk is, it's just like when he sees her lined out. Life was like that, man. It's a gun puncher, that one. Yet it's also a wonderful, wonderful episode of the show. It's just like it's definitely a highlight. It's more than a highlight. It's a classic, most definitely. So number 1 on my list is City on the Edge of Forever. Okay, Mike, what is number 1 on your list?
I was thinking about City on the Edge of Forever, but I couldn't because. I really don't like Harlan Ellison. I think he's a brilliant writer. I just think as a person he's a douchebag. Mm-hmm. But my number 1 is it's been mentioned before. Trouble with Tribbles. It's the same reason I prefer Star Trek: The Voyage Home over Wrath of Khan. It's the same reason I pick Trouble with Tribbles over Space Seed. I think Space Heat is a better episode than Trouble with Tribbles. I think Wrath of Khan is a better movie than The Voyage Home. Mm-hmm. But I will always try and go watch The Voyage Home or Trouble with Tribbles first because I just have so much more fun with those episodes in the movie. I mean, and it's great when you watch them because not only are you having fun, but you can tell that the people filming it are having so much fun. They're just having balls. I mean, when all of those things are falling on them, Jenna's just got that look. You know, as soon as they cut, everybody behind the scenes is just laughing their ass off because, well, Shatner's made look stupid, and everybody loves that. But I mean, just start to finish, there's just so much fun and so much energy and just enjoyment out of this episode. Is it the best episode? No, but it's my favorite because it's just so much fun. So yeah, my number one, Trouble with Tribbles.
Can't argue with there, Mike. I can't argue. I can't argue with you on that one, Mike. Definitely can't. So, Colton, why don't you give us number one on your list?
Number one on my list is also The City on the Edge of Forever. Well, like you said, it's a tragedy, and I think the most tragic thing about it is that, well, at first we think this would be a silly episode where the characters go back to the past, and it will be a silly episode about Kirk falling in love with someone from the 1930s, but then it really hits you because you really do buy Kirk's feelings for You really do buy Kirk's feelings for Keeler, and what I love about the episode is that you would think that her death would be a catalyst for something terrible, but it's actually if she lives, then, well, that screws everything up. And you don't see many time travel stories go in that direction where the characters had to let something bad happen in order to preserve the time stream. And the way McCoy at the end says that he could have saved her, and Kirk was like, "Yeah, I know," and then they had to cheerfully go back to the future after she's died. It really hits you, you know. Like, I know that, especially for a series that's supposed to be as hopeful as Star Trek, and it makes you just sort of, sit there and just wonder about time and fate and how it can be a cruel mistress sometimes. Yeah, number one on my list is The City on the Edge of Forever.
Okay, all right, great. All right, solid. Great. Wonderful list from both of you gentlemen. Definitely. Okay, folks, that will do it for us. That will do it for our show this week. Thank you so much for joining us. I'd also like to thank my panel for being here, for joining me. Mike, it's a pleasure having you here. Just love doing this with you, man.
Oh yeah, always great to talk about some Star Trek. Can't wait to. I'd love to do Next Generation next.
Oh yeah,
that was my big series.
We'll be doing Next Generation, definitely. And Colton, it's a pleasure having you here. Just love doing this with you as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. The episodes you guys chose, I think I'll go give them a look. They sound like they're pretty cool. And if we ever do a Next Generation episode, I'll be sure to watch some more episodes of that show because I like it. It just was a bit before. It came out at a time where I was little. I wasn't watching shows like that, so I wasn't able to really get into it until after the show was long over. So I have a lot to catch up on.
I could suggest episodes. Best I could suggest 5 episodes.
Okay, all right. And also, it's just yes, we'll be back next week, and Paul will return with a new topic. Hopefully, I don't know what the topic is, but we know. Yeah, he has decided on a topic, and he will be here next week. So make sure you check out for that episode. Like I said, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Chris Miller, CM Miller. Thank you for watching this episode with us. Thank you for tuning. Yeah, thank you for tuning into our show. Until next time, bye and live on and prosper.